for voice mode depth manipulation. Really, really unique, interesting stuff. Thus far, I've been playing it in poly. It is a poly synth, so I've just been sticking to poly. Also, I wanted to explain everything in depth while I wasn't explaining everything else. So we've been in poly thus far, and poly is 4-note polyphony, 4-note articulated polyphony. Each voice, which is a set of 2 oscillators. Each voice is made up of a set of 2 oscillators, the filter, the envelope generators, etc. So each voice has all of that. So you can do things like each voice gets its own articulation, which is what you want, perhaps more than paraphonic polyphony, where all of the voices that you have share envelopes and a filter. Not quite as good. Anyway, so this is 4-voice articulated polyphony. We can switch it to duo, which then stacks all the voices on a single note. And if you play 2 notes, it splits 2 of the voices to 1 note and 2 of the voices to the other note. So you can only play 2 notes at a time, but those 2 notes are really luscious and made up of a lot of stacked oscillators and filters, etc. It just has a different tone. And if you're playing it and that's too many oscillators for you, you can always turn one of the oscillators down, and then you just have 2 stacked oscillators instead of 4 stacked oscillators per note in the duophonic setting. So you can kind of thin it out a little bit if you want to. Next, we have the unison section. Oh, wait a minute. We do have to figure out a thing here. So, I don't think I even talked about this. When we're in polyphonic mode, and you're playing all 4 voices at once, the voice mode depth knob will then invert the chord that you're playing. Which is kind of an interesting and strange effect that you can modulate. You can actually set it to modulate. You can set the lever to modulate this thing. And then in duophonic mode, it just detunes the oscillator so you get a fuller sound. And you can really detune it. This is kind of a beautiful effect. Also, when you go into unison mode, that's all of the voices on a single note. Which isn't quite as overbearing as I might expect. And if it is somewhat overbearing, you can take out half of the voices by turning down one of the oscillator volumes. And the voice mode depth knob will detune. Which is an interesting sound. The mono mode, conversely, is all of the voices on one note. But there's some sort of division to it because with the voice mode depth, you get sub oscillators. And obviously quite a few sub oscillators. This is a really interesting sound. What happens when we turn down? Oh, we have one of the oscillators turned down. Oh. So that's interesting. The next one, chord. We start out with the 5th. And all you can play is that 5th at any given time, no matter what you play. And the voice mode depth defines what chord you're actually playing. So we have the 5th, and we'll go up to the sus2. And minor. Major. sus4. Minor 7. 7th. sus4. Which, when I was going through this, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a Prince chord. So I was doing... That's a progression Prince often used, especially around the 1999 era. Anyway, sorry. Major 7th. Augmented. Diminished. And what is this? What do they call this? Minor 7. Oh, where am I? Minor 7 flat 5. And major 7 flat 5. So you can do lots of interesting things with those chords. Next we have delay. Which sounds pretty interesting just right there, but as you turn up the voice mode depth, you'll start to get the delay effect. And that's not an actual delay, it's just reallocating the notes that you're playing, which is really interesting. It's a monophonic voice allocation sort of delay. I think that's new. Then, if you want to get all wacky, we haven't talked about the delay yet, but you can turn on the delay, and then you have 2 delays happening. But yeah, that can get totally crazy. Arpeggiator. Which is pretty standard arpeggiator. And as you turn up the voice mode depth, you get the different types of arpeggiator. it's random and it's actually taking intervals around with it. That's really interesting. But yeah, you have manual 1, manual 2, rise 1, rise 2, which is 2 octaves, fall 1, which is falling 1 octave and falling 2 octaves, rise, fall 1 and 2, and then this poly one, another poly one, which is just basically playing the chord that you're playing in time with the sequencing, in time with the tempo. The randoms, random 1, 2, and 3. And 3 is this sort of chordal random, which is neat. And sidechain, which basically drops the volume of what you've already played, and favors what you're playing. And you adjust the depth with the voice mod. Hear how the F got quieter. Which allows you to draw attention to what you're doing and not what you're holding. And then it'll come back. It's just kind of fun. You can make it totally disappear. So that's really fun. So these voice modes add a lot of functionality because all of the things that we've thus far covered are all going to sound slightly different due to the way that these voices are allocated and activated through playing. So there's a lot of experimentation that you can do to generate really unique outcomes by playing with these things. And certainly in sequencing, they're a lot of fun too.